Is everyone ready?
I know,
Yeah.
just FYI, she's
I am calling this meeting to order. Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Villa Park City Council. I hereby call the meeting to order. Steve, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Councilwoman Miles,
Present.
Councilman Frackleton,
Present.
Councilman McBride,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu, Mayor Jones.
Here. Tonight, I will ask Mayor Pro Tem Wu to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. The Villa Park City Council and staff welcome you to this meeting, and we encourage your participation. If you wish to address the City Council, please complete and submit a speaker card to the City Clerk. Speaker cards can be found at the entrance to the City Council chambers. Speakers will be called up individually during the public comment section of the meeting or during the item they wish to speak on. Once the public comment period has concluded for an item, no additional speakers will be taken. Speakers will be limited to a time period of 5 minutes. Speakers were also able to submit comments in writing by 3 p.m. today, and those comments will be placed in the public record. So first, we are going to have our 2025 fireworks stand lottery. I have 2 names here provided to me by the city manager, and I'm just going to pick one out. So, there's all of 2 in here, so. Let's see. It is the Villa Park High School Gridiron Booster Club. So congratulations to them. Okay, next we would like to do the presentation of the inaugural Dennis Kulai Scholarship. This is a scholarship generously donated by the Kulai family in honor of Dennis Kulai, and I'd like Jill Kulai to speak on this at the podium.
The Villa Park Community Services Foundation. While the organization is often considered to be the recreation department of our city, we offer much more to those who bring that wonderful living here in our extended community. Recently, the foundation took on the task of helping others establish monetary scholarships for those who have gone above and beyond in their achievements. The Kulai family is pleased to establish one for a Villa Park High School student. Last Wednesday evening, we recognized the most worthy first recipient, Francis Sampson. Somewhere he's hiding out back here. Oh, good. Although my husband, who passed away in November 2023, was a noted Caltech graduate and an electrical engineer in the community, he was really thought of as a community volunteer. He was the city treasurer, the man in that red hat on that truck, Little League soccer coach, and so many other kinds of volunteer kinds of things. Francis was recognized by the Villa Park High School Parent Faculty Student Organization as the Super Spartan of 2025. His academic excellence, music performing arts, civic community engagement, plus leadership and extracurricular involvement earned him descriptions such as brilliant and unique from fellow students and school staff. Despite his amazing recognition, scholarship funding was not part of that Villa Park High School presentation. now along with graduate cords and pins it is. And last Wednesday, we were able to give him a check for $1,000. Can you just share with everybody a few things about your plans for the future?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes, please come to the podium and speak into the microphone.
So, I plan to enroll at Duke University's Chinese campus, majoring in political science and economics. In the future, I plan to come back to the U.S. and obtain a degree in law, and I hope to practice in the future.
Congratulations.
Well, rest of you, I'm hoping that you will consider establishing a scholarship, because it's really fun to be able to meet these young people. And so go for it, folks. Establish your scholarship, and the foundation will help you do that, and have people like you in our lives. That's good. You need to send me an address or a phone number.
Of course.
So I can give you a hard time. Thank you so very much.
Congratulations. Next, we have our May Distinguished Citizen. In every successful community, there are people whose devotion to service and education leave a lasting impact for generations. Villa Park is no exception, and Sharon Houlihan is one of those people. A devoted mother, teacher, and neighborhood leader, Sharon epitomizes the spirit of kindness and giving back. Sharon has a strong sense of family and community. Sharon moved to Villa Park in 1997 and is married to her husband, Mike, who many might know as a former coach and board member for our local National Junior Basketball League. She is the mother of 3 grown sons, Patrick, 35, who lives in London with his wife, Emmy, son Tim, 32, who lives in Carlsbad with his wife, Caitlin, and her youngest son, Matthew, 25, who lives in New York City with his high school sweetheart, Brianna. Sharon's journey as a teacher at Villa Park Elementary began not in the classroom, but as a parent at the school that all 3 of her boys attended. What started as volunteer work soon blossomed into a career at VPE, where she is beloved by students and parents alike. After serving as the fundraising chair, Sharon took a leap and joined the staff at Villa Park Elementary as a 3rd grade teacher, which is a role she has now cherished for 25 years. Sharon feels that 3rd grade is a foundation year for reading and other skills that set the child up for the rest of their academic journey. She loved doing moon journals with her students a few years ago. Now it's a 5th grade standard, but back in the day, to document the phases of the moon, which sets students up for doing observation and research projects in the future. Sharon takes great pride in the traditions established in her classroom and throughout the school, including teaching cursive, which, yes, our schools still teach cursive throughout Orange Unified. She loves the culture of Villa Park Elementary and the fact that the school is steeped in tradition. Sharon's influence also extends throughout the educational community. She served on school site council at both elementary and middle schools, works on the PBIS team, participated in the Teacher Innovator Program, or TIP, and assisted the Goals Committee. As a mentor teacher for teacher candidates, she plays a critical role in mentoring the next generation of teachers, passing along not just knowledge, but her philosophy rooted in compassion and love for her students. Sharon has also been Teacher of the Year on 2 separate occasions for Villa Park Elementary, a well-deserved honor. But Sharon's commitment does not stop at the gates of VPE either. At Villa Park High School, she was active with the basketball and volleyball boosters, serving as banquet co-chair and secretary for these groups. She also brought her heart for service to the National League of Young Men, serving as a grade level chair for 4 years. Sharon currently sits on the board of Support Ability, a scholarship organization that aids students who have overcome adversity. Sharon is also very involved in her local church, St. Norbert's, where she has taught baptism, First Communion, and confirmation classes, and served on parish council. With every classroom she leads and every life she touches, Sharon continues to prove that strong communities are built by those who care deeply and act with kindness. Thank you so much, Sharon.
First, I want to thank the City Council for this meaningful recognition. I'm honored and humbled. I want to thank you all because you are Villa Park. You're the heart of the city. Mary, who got me to go teach, and oh my goodness, I'm so touched. Margie is here from San Diego. Oh my goodness, I can't thank you all enough. But I want to thank the amazing staff that I work with at Villa Park Elementary as well as the City Council, because I'm just a small part of a very big picture. To all the parents that I've had, all of you, and to all your children, I'm so honored to have been able to work with them. As parents, I think you all know you're your child's first and most important teacher. And for you to share them with us as educators is nothing short of just the best. I want to thank our principal, Mrs. Arceo, who's over here in the corner. Mrs. Arceo came to lead Villa Park Elementary School, and she so much embraced the traditions of Villa Park Elementary School. I think we have many traditions there that set us apart from other schools in the area. But I think I really appreciate that about her. Being a part of a larger community is so important as we watch these children grow into Air Force pilots, police officers, audiologists, tradespeople, physical therapists, attorneys, engineers. The list goes on and on. There's no greater joy than when I look around and I see so many of you who, your children are so successful because you're holding them up, you're pushing them forward, and you're sharing them with us as educators. So thank you all for your dedication to the education of our future leaders, to our community of Villa Park, where so many of you have gone off to college and come right back here to raise your families. So I'm honored to be recognized. Thank you so very much.
And Sharon, we would also like to present you with a certificate from Supervisor Don Wagner's office.
This is always such a challenge. This is really a challenge because I had to do the certificate before I got Nicole's notes, or Mayor Jones' notes. And I apologize up front, Sharon. I put fourth grade teacher, not third grade. So I need to learn how to read all over again. So I better take your class. Anyhow, come on over here. On behalf of Orange County Supervisor Don Wagner, we are so proud of what you do to give so much to our community, because what you're doing is making our future bright, because you're making those children really want to achieve all they can achieve. That's a beautiful thing a teacher can do. I had a few teachers in my life like that, and I achieved a lot more than I think even my parents thought I would. So for all the teachers, but especially you, a very big thank you. And I will give you this, but I want to take it back so I get it printed right. It is. There.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're so sweet.
Sharon, if you'd like to come up the front, council also has a certificate for you.
You're going to be standing up.
Well done, Nicole. Good choice.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to get on with our meeting. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. And the next person up, it's a hard act to follow, is our Orange County Sheriff's Department. So, by the time you get up here, I think things will have calmed down a little. Okay, can I have quiet, please, for our sheriff's report? Thank you so much. Okay, where's your clap, 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 clap? Okay, quiet, please, for our sheriff's report. Thank you.
We can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Staff and residents of Villa Park. Today I'm here to present on the stats from April 21st to April 25th, May 25th, 2025 for the City of Villa Park. Overall, our calls for service have gone up considerably. We went up 68 calls for service over the last month. Total reports still did go down by 1. So we had a total of 17 reports to include criminal offenses and or calls for service or citizen assist calls. There was only one crime against person, which was a domestic violence incident that we had, and there was no injury traffic accidents. There was one injury traffic accident. It was relatively minor at the intersection, I believe it was Taft and Lemon, where the vehicles both started moving at the same time and crashed in the middle of the intersection. There was a total of 8 crimes against property and or society, a decline by 1. And overall, suspicious activity reports have gone down fairly consistently. This month we had 11, went down by 2. As far as citations, we've had 18 moving violations, both for speed and for stop sign violations. And we had a total of 30 parking violations that we were able to cite people for illegal parking. Along with the handouts that I gave you, it shows a breakdown of the crimes or calls for service that we responded to. Like I said, it was a total of 284. The vast majority of them were patrol checks, followed by vacation checks, which is, we like to see that because we can continue to see break-ins. There was one this last month, pretty consistent with what's going on throughout the county. Somehow they realize people aren't home. They come around through the backyard, jump the fence, break the rear slider, and go straight into the valuables and take what they want. Similar situation here. All I ask is let's visit ocsheriff.gov. There's ways that what we can do to protect ourselves. One of them is vacation checks. There's other ways that we can protect ourselves against either residential burglaries, vehicle burglaries, crimes against persons. It's a really good site to go to. It's ocsheriff.gov/community, stay safe OC, and you can find information on vehicle safety, cybersecurity, ID theft, personal safety, home security, and also what we see a lot of here in the City of Villa Park is scams. People calling residents, telling them that they're from the bank, demanding that they take out cash from their bank accounts and deliver it to a person or a location. No bank will ever do that to you, so just realize that those are going to be scams. We had one other call that I'd like to highlight today. One of our residents noticed a suspicious vehicle in front of their home. That vehicle had 2 people sleeping in it. They called us. We came out to check it out. Ended up finding 2 individuals with narcotics paraphernalia, ID theft, multiple IDs, and they had warrants for past ID theft crimes they had committed. So kudos for that resident. He saw something, he said something, allowed us to come out and investigate, and we're able to resolve that issue for them. The community really does help us out, solving crime, preventing crime. We only have a few deputies out in the city at any given time. There's thousands of residents that we can use as our eyes and ears that can help us see what's out of place, see what doesn't belong in their neighborhood, let us know and let us come out and investigate. Like I said in the past, if it's somebody that's doing innocent business, that's fine. If it's somebody that's up to no good, then let us take care of it, let us deal with it. The last page that you have in front of you would be all the costs for service for the period of April 21st to May 25th that cover the entire city. As you can see, they're pretty spread out throughout the city. There is no one area that we get the hotspots in or to focus on. It really is spread out throughout the city. So if we get help from the citizens and from the residents of the city of Villa Park, it helps us greatly, not only to prevent crime, but also to solve it, right? If people seeing something going on in their neighborhoods to let us know about, or if something happened and they say, oh, you know what, I noticed a suspicious vehicle a couple of days ago, let me call it in and let them know about it for us to follow up on and be able to hopefully solve that and bring some resolution to that homeowner. So with that, if you have any questions for me, please, I'll do what I can to answer them.
Council, do you have questions? Councilwoman Miles?
Thank you. I have a question about, so the e-bike ordinance, which just recently became effective after the second reading in April, have your deputies, are they aware that it's now effective? That's the first question. And second, without sounding, alarmist or whatever, and I know this weekend was a big weekend, but there's a real problem here in the center with the kids riding double, and I saw several almost get hit. I don't know whose fault it would have been, but I'm just wondering, have you had that discussion with your deputies? I don't want anyone chasing anyone down, but just kind of hanging out around here, because this is where they all kind of congregate, and they're doing everything that's going to put them in danger. So kind of wanted to see if you could touch on that.
Yeah, obviously we are aware of the ordinance, but the deputies are aware of it. We haven't done a lot of proactive enforcement of it as of yet. The department's kind of weary about trying to conduct enforcement because of the dangers of the juveniles taking off and then causing significant injury to themselves or others. But it's something we'll game plan and we'll address moving forward, since we do have it. Like I said in the past, maybe it's education, maybe it's Deputy McDermott, talk to them at the high school, because that's mainly where they seem to come from. We did have 2 bike thefts this month. Both came from the high school. So I know it is. They are out there. I ride through here every day to and from home, and I do see them out there. So we'll come up with a game plan. We'll address it both in the school and out in the streets.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Even if it's just like on a loudspeaker, just kind of going, hey guys, slow down. There was one almost right by my house, and I knew his mom, so I called his mom, and of course he got in trouble, but he was going against, didn't stop. The car would have hit him. She would have had it was just awful. So anyways, and would we be able to add that if there is some enforcement for the e-bikes? Is that something
Absolutely.
that you can add to
Yes.
that, just so we can see if it's working or not? Okay,
No
thank
problem.
you. That's
Yep.
it.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Councilman Frackleton?
Yeah, Captain, 68 more calls for service, which is a big jump, and you may have said why or speculated why, but I couldn't hear you. Do you have any idea why?
General patrol checks, vacation checks, just general calls. There is nothing in particular that went up. Like I said, the actual crime calls went down overall month over month. So I suspect that maybe it's more like as you noticed, we did a lot more moving citations and parking citations. So those also count as calls for service. So that might have something to do with it.
Okay, so nothing to be alarmed about.
No, sir.
So, Councilman, I just have to add, I've asked them to do some extra patrolling and some enforcement on the parking. So I'm probably responsible for some of those calls because residents have contacted us about certain areas of the city. So we've been focusing with the help of the sheriff, Captain Sotelo, to get people out there on black and whites visible and and making, like you said, the parking situation. And there's a couple parts of the city that we've tried to hit a little extra this last month or so. So the sheriff and I are in contact there. So I think some of that's a rise because of the requests on the part of the city.
Any other comments from council? I do have a comment. I had someone make a comment to me that, well, I saw something, but I didn't call because, it was during the day, so it was probably nothing. I've been reading a lot about crimes really being committed between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. very commonly lately. Can you comment on that? Is that true?
Yes, Madam Mayor. The time of day is not a factor anymore. These crews are professionals. They are very well prepared. They go out and canvass or supervise or monitor their victims for multiple days or weeks at a time to time it right. So when they're not home or when they're at work, to come in and to commit those thefts or those burglaries. So if you see something suspicious at any time of day or night, it'd be wise to call us and let us investigate, because there is, in the past you think, oh, it's only at night, it's only during certain hours in the late evening. It's at all times. If they're out there in the daytime, it's because they are surveilling us, they're watching us, and they're trying to pick their opportune time to come in and victimize people.
Great. Thank you so much.
welcome.
Thank you for your report. And then we'll go to Villa Park Library. Sorry, I skipped over you.
Okay, I couldn't make it in.
Yeah, I did see you out there. It's like a salmon
That's
going upstream.
Can you hear me all right? Yes, thank you. Pardon me. Our big news is summer reading program starts on June 16th, and we're going to have a performance by magician Billy Bonkers, and it should be a lot of fun. This is the one program that you have to register for. We expect a lot of people, and the registration begins on Monday, June 2nd for that. Summer reading program, some of our programs, we're going to have karaoke, a Lego challenge, we're going to have craft programs, we're going to make our version of Monet's Water Lilies. We'll have holiday craft programs, Father's Day craft and a 4th of July craft. And we're going to have 2 teen programs. We're going to make friendship bracelets and have an origami workshop. Also, during the summer, our regular programs continue. We'll have our Tuesday baby toddler story time, our Saturday family story time, our book chat for the grown-ups, and our first Wednesday is bilingual Spanish story time. And we're encouraging everyone to join summer reading. You can do it online, you can do it in the library. Keep track of your reading. You'll be entered in prize drawings. And we have 3 different areas of that. We have a program for kids, one for teens, and then one for the grown-ups as well. So we have a lot going on at the library. We're looking forward to a lot of people coming to visit.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions? No questions from council.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And next we have Orange County Fire Authority.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable City Council, and City staff. I appreciate the opportunity to review the Orange County Fire Authority's Fire and Emergency Services Report for this month. Since the last City Council meeting on April 22nd, the Orange County Fire Authority responded to 45 emergency incidents within the city of Villa Park. And that time period goes from April 22nd to May 26th. Of the 45, a few highlights. There were approximately 5 cardiac type events, 6 stroke or altered mental status calls, 4 respiratory or difficulty breathing calls, and 7 falls or injury/traumas. Following up on Councilmember Miles' request last council meeting about the age demographic, we did break it down a little bit further for our medical emergencies. You'll see on the bottom of the report from the ages of 0 to 17, we had 2 different incidents in that age range. From age 15 to 59, 7 different emergency events. And then as you see, ages 60 plus, 23. So your vast majority is in that age frame, age demographic over 60. For this month's safety message, Now is the time of year that we focus pretty heavy on water safety. Specifically, we talk a lot about the ABCs of water safety. A is always having a water, someone watching the water, having a water watcher. This month specifically, we're going to talk about barriers, and then C is for classes. So specific to barriers, no single barrier provides 100% protection. We encourage multiple barriers to be in place. That way, if one fails, there's another to slow or prevent a child from reaching the water alone or unsupervised. Specifically, non-climbable fences, so installing four-sided isolation fences tall enough, 4 to 5 feet, to prevent children from climbing over. Ensuring all gates have self-closing or latching mechanisms. That all pools or spas have a purchased cover that's placed over the pool and spa to protect against children or pets from entering that waterway. And then having alarms on doors, windows, and around the pools in case children or pets do encounter the water unexpectedly. We also recommend indoor barriers. And this is all under the auspices of making sure that our communities and our children are safe. We encourage everyone to have a happy, healthy, and fun summer under the guise of protection. So that concludes my report, pending any of your questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council?
No, just comment. Want to say thank you for breaking that down, the demographics. It's important, especially I think since you're going to be doing the emergency preparedness, that our older adult population here is really susceptible to these trip and falls and things. So hopefully they'll come to the presentation that you guys are going to have later. So just want to thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, the Orange County Fire Authorities be happy to present a safety aspect to that, and I think there's some real valuable lessons for our elderly community, how we can make them safer and ideally happier as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I would just like to say we're going to be doing some thank yous later on in the meeting, but I would just like to thank the OCFA Chair Becerra, your Vice Chair Carmick, Fire Chief Fennessy, yourself, Captain Caudell, Captain Troutman and his A-team or A-shift team for hosting us for the memorial service for former Mayor Bob Bell. We couldn't have done it without you, and we sincerely appreciate all the effort that you and your team went to accommodate that, and it was a wonderful event, so thank you so much.
We are your fire department, and we're happy to do those events. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So next, at this time, we will hear comments from members of the public to address any off-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council, provided that no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. We will also be hearing public comments on each agenda item. Steve, is there anyone present or who wrote in from the public who would like to comment on an off-agenda item?
We've received no comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. So now we will move into our agendized public hearings. Our first hearing is to review to waive reading in full of all ordinances and resolutions on the agenda. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the monthly item that we have that allows us to move through our agenda in an expeditious manner. We'd recommend approval.
Do we have any public comment?
No.
Thank you. Council members, is there any discussion, or if not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Please vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote.
Great, thank you. Our next hearing is regarding the housing element. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to be turning this over to Ray Pasquar, City Planner, and our Kimley Horn consultant team. Basically, this is something that we've been this is a culmination of effort over the last couple of years in order to provide and get a certified housing element for the 6th cycle for City of Villa Park, which is mandated by law. I'll now pass it over to Ray and his team from Kimley Horn.
Thanks, Steve. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The item before you this evening for consideration is a housing element of the city's general plan and the housing element implementation project. Briefly, the components of the housing element implementation project includes general plan amendments, text amendments, and a zone change, details of which will be presented by the housing element and CEQA consultant, Kimley Horn. The proposed recommended actions required in order for the housing element to be certified by HCD is to adopt the following. Resolution number 2025-3625, resolution number 2025-3626, and also to introduce ordinance number 2025-635 and ordinance number 2025-636. Again, Kimley Horn will briefly walk you through the particulars of the housing elements and each of the resolutions and ordinances. At this time, I'd like to introduce Kimley Horn, the Kimley Horn team, Bryant Delatorre, Xiaofan Li, who will be presenting the staff report, and Rita Garcia and Heather Bolin, who will address questions related to CEQA, specifically about the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration. I'd like to add that this project has been challenging, to say the least. It's been quite a learning experience, and it's been comforting to be working alongside Kimley Horn, who are experts in the field of preparing general plans and housing elements in CEQA. And collectively, we are optimistic that the housing element that will be presented to you this evening will satisfy the requirements of HCD for it to be certified. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kimley Horn. Bryant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Good evening again. My name is Bryant Delatorre with Kimley Horn. I have my colleagues Rita Garcia, who's the project manager for the CEQA effort, and we also have Heather Bolin, who is deputy project manager with that effort. All right, we can go to the next. You can keep going.
Go ahead.
And you can skip the recommendations. Ray went over those in a second, but again, it's 2 resolutions and 2 ordinances that we'll be looking at tonight. Here we go. Yeah. So the 6th cycle housing element, which is the cycle of 2021 through 2029, has been ongoing. As Ray mentioned, this is a long-time effort. There was previously a consultant, John Douglas, who began the process, retired halfway kind of through the process, and recommended us, Kimley Horn, to continue the process. So what the housing element is, in short, it's a chapter in the general plan. It's a required chapter. It's the only chapter that needs to be updated regularly, so every 8 years. It's the only one that needs to be certified by the state as well. So the certifying department is the California Housing and Community Development Department. So that's who we've been collaborating with, Ray, our housing element team, working with the state through that process. So these housing elements are updated just to show that we have sufficient capacity. We have sufficient zoning, development standards, regulations to allow for development. The city is not required to develop any housing. We're just required to show that there is sufficient capacity for housing. The housing element itself doesn't approve any projects. It just identifies, again, just capacity. It engages the community through the process. So in one of our appendices, it identifies all of the community engagement process from the beginning through today. The housing element in the various chapters and within our programs, we identify ways that we're going to address our housing there. So what kicks off really the process is our regional housing needs assessment. This is our unit total of what we should plan towards. So the state, through HCD, they have a statewide total. That total gets distributed through various regions, through our council of governments. So for Villa Park, that was SCAG. SCAG has their own methodology of how to distribute units. So from the state, goes down to SCAG, and then SCAG to the individual jurisdictions. So if we can skip here. For this cycle, so 2021 through 2029, our RENA, so our unit total that we need to plan for, is 296 units. As you can see on the screen, this is broken down further by individual income categories. So about almost evenly distributed, but leans heavier on the very low, and moderate income categories. So on the screen, we have the income ranges per four-person households for the year of 2025. So you'll see the average kind of changes per income category. But again, this for households of 4. So for this year, 2025, the median household income in the county of Orange was approximately 136,000. And who we're planning for, teachers, teaching assistants, police officers, firefighters, healthcare roles, admin roles, childcare providers. Very broad, so within that very low to moderate income, we see most of these professions falling into those categories. We break down the housing element into these various chapters and appendices. I have 2 bolded up there, so the housing plan and the fair housing assessment. Every chapter is important. They all kind of layer on top of each other. But that housing plan, that's really the action. So what are we doing to ensure that we can facilitate development and ensure that everyone has choice to housing? And that fair housing assessment is the section where we identify our individual sites to identify our site strategy. This is our timeline. You'll see I'm not going to go through every single one, but this first public hearing on the housing element was in late 2020. Through the whole process, we had various public hearings. The city council held informational meetings, staff with the past consultant as well. And then the first transmittal to HCD wasn't until 2021, beginning of 2021. Throughout that time, various submittals, and then we'll skip to the beginning of 2023, where we resubmitted for the 5th time, and that's when HCD found that the City of Villa Park's housing element was compliant. So we received that letter. It's stating that the city is meeting all statutory requirements, but cannot be certified until the specific rezones are completed and the housing element itself is readopted, the final housing element that was readopted. What it means to be certified, it's really to be fully vetted, reviewed, and certified by HCD. So it shows that the city is compliant with all housing laws, state housing laws, and it makes you eligible for certain grant funding. So, for example, CDBG, for PLHA funds. It also protects the city from builder's remedies applications. So once you have a certified housing element, you're no longer subject to builder's remedy applications.
So could briefly interject? The state has withheld our PLHA money that we were using for the homeless shelter because we do not have a certified plan. So that has been withheld. So what we use that money for helps pay for our homeless participation in North Spa homeless shelters. So where in the past we were paying about $1,700 a year, now we're paying $37,000 because we have not received that money from the state. So it has already impacted us for lack of that certification. So FYI, there's real practical implications as we talked about during the budget hearings.
Thank you, Steve. And then the consequences of non-certification, again, we talked about the builder's remedy, but I think the biggest issue or the biggest consequence of this is the limit to access to state funding. So CDBG, mentioned PLHA, various grants and funding. So having a certified housing element or a compliant housing element is a criteria, or it makes you eligible for these grant funding. So it's very important to have a certified housing element. And again, lawsuits from the state, private parties, it really just having a certified housing element protects you from all of that. So now that's the housing element itself. Now we're going on to the implementation of the housing element itself. So as I stated earlier, City of Villa Park currently has a housing element that meets all the statutory requirements, but can't be certified until the rezones are completed due to state laws. So in our letter that we received, there's government code in there specifically stating what government codes. If you all want to know, I have them written down, but we can wait for the discussion part. But these actions are 3 specific actions. So it's land use amendment and land use map amendment, zoning code amendments and map amendments, and then just kind of some miscellaneous zoning code amendments to comply with state law. So there was various code sections that were just not updated since the last cycle that we now needed to update. And since we were already in the zoning code, it was a perfect time to address those. So I'll start with the land use amendment. This is the first part of this implementation project. It's establishing a new commercial mixed use land use designation. So these text amendments within the land use element would be updated to align with this new established use. This changing use would only be for two parcels, be this parcel where we're standing at now and the building right next door. So it would change, the existing use is commercial, and I believe that property currently allows residential, but now it would also apply it to this property. And the reason we changed the naming convention is really to capture what the use allows. So it is commercial, it does allow commercial, but now it also allows mixed use. We also changed the land use designation of one parcel, so the APN, that's a portion of the Smiths Basin, so changing that from open space to commercial mixed use. And then lastly, we changed all three of these parcels, so this parcel, the one next door, and the Smith Basin, we changed that on the land use map to reflect those changes there. So this is the map previously or existing. You'll see, if we can go to the next one, we refreshed it, updated it. The only change is on the far right of the screen, bottom right, that's the Smith Basin. And then kind of central left, you'll see that kind of red piece there. There's two parcels there, this parcel and the one right next door, which were changed from commercial to that commercial mixed use. Now the zoning code amendments. So these zoning code amendments were necessary to align the land use and the zoning. So we updated the zoning classification. This one wasn't a true rezone. It's really the naming convention of the commercial professional. We changed that to commercial mixed use, again, to align with that land use and to capture the true use of that of these properties now. The text amendments allow residential uses. We also established development standards for those residential uses. So currently, there's residential that's allowed on this property, but there wasn't specific standards for that. So through the regulation of these uses, we were able to regulate what is allowed specifically. Doesn't have to go through a longer process. It really identifies what the city wants to allow in order to have control of what could potentially be built there. We updated sorry, I skipped one. We rezoned one property, the Orange County Flood District, that was the property in the Smith Basin, from that use to, or that zoning designation to commercial mixed use. And then all those three parcels, we updated the zoning map, which we'll see now. And a big piece of this at the very bottom is per state law, any rezones to meet your RENA need must establish a by right requirement for any proposal of 20% affordable, must have a by right requirement. So that essentially allows a proposal to come through, and as long as they meet the objective standards, meet the development standards, that's allowed by right. So this is the existing map, and then if we go to the next one, you'll see there's only one change to this one, and it's that bottom right corner. That's that Smith Basin site again. So that parcel with these two parcels here are now considered, or would be potentially considered commercial mixed use, and that is to allow a mix of uses. And this is the last piece of the implementation project. It's the proposed zoning code amendments, just really to, it's really just a cleanup of the zoning code to establish requirements and standards for emergency shelters, employee housing, supportive housing, transitional housing, residential care facilities, and various residential uses. On the next slide, we can see the specific changes. So for example, we set a definition for emergency shelters and employee housing. These uses were already allowed, but there wasn't a specific definition within the zoning code currently. We also updated the zoning code to align with the government code for employee housing, and we differentiated between employee housing for 6 or fewer employees and then for 7 or more. Established regulations for the emergency shelters, so establish exactly what these requirements are, just so we can further regulate them in alignment with what the city's desire was. We also expanded some incentives and utilized the state density bonus, so we can kind of stack those incentives together to encourage, more affordable development in strategic areas. And then lastly, we removed one finding within the, I believe it was the reasonable accommodation section that was deemed subjective by HCD. So I think the requirement itself required to be harmonious with the neighborhood character, which was not quantifiable. And that was a requirement that came from HCD. And then I'll pass it over to my colleague Rita Garcia, who's the project manager on the CEQA effort.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. As Brian said, my name is Rita Garcia. I served as project manager for the environmental component of the project. And in the context of my discussion tonight, the project is the implementation of the housing element, all of the rezoning actions that Brian just described. So for the project, we conducted an initial study under CEQA, and the objective of the initial study was to determine the environmental impacts of the proposed project. And we looked at an A to Z of environmental resource areas, everything from air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, and A to Z, 20 in all. The analysis found that the project would result in less a significant impact with mitigation incorporated and compliance with the established regulatory framework. So upon completion of our analysis, we determined the project would qualify for a mitigated negative declaration. So we prepared the mitigated negative declaration that was partner to the initial study. The initial study and mitigated negative declaration were circulated for a 30-day public review period in which the public as well as agencies were invited to comment on the scope of the analysis in the document. The public review period went from January to February of 2025. During that time, we received 6 comment letters, which I believe are attachments number 2 and 4 to your package. We prepared responses to each of those comment letters and the individual comments received in that. And our analysis found that due to the responses that we prepared, no new environmental impact resulted and or no increase in the severity of the impacts that were already analyzed in the initial study. And so tonight, before approving the project, the City Council is invited to consider all of the initial study, so the initial study itself, along with the comments letters and our proposed responses to that. And with that, Ray, I believe, is going to continue. I'm glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
More. So we're going on to next steps. So to reiterate, on July 12th of 2023, we received that statutory compliance letter. However, without readopting the housing element that was found to be in statutory compliance, and without rezoning as identified in the housing element can be certified. So once the housing element is adopted, once the rezones are certified, both those documents, the resolutions and ordinances will be sent to HCD for final review. They have 60 full days, calendar days, sorry, to review the final package. It's really just to confirm that what was approved is exactly what was adopted, which it is. This is what's before you. And it's really a last compliance check. Typically, it doesn't take 60 days. They're just allowed 60 days. We're seeing about a week or 2 for them to fully review, provide that certification letter. So once this is all complete, it's certification letter and you're in full compliance. Then lastly, the recommendation so it's resolution number 2025-3625 to adopt the 2021 to 2029 housing element of the general plan with the categorical exemption under CEQA. Adopt resolution 2025-3626 to adopt general plan amendment number 2501 and adopt the final ISM&D for the housing element implementation project under CEQA. Introduce ordinance 2025-635 and introduce ordinance number 2025-636. And with that, we're available for questions. And thank you all.
Council, do you have any questions of the presenter or staff? I have a couple questions. First, if you go back to the slide, let me pull this up. That is the proposed land use map. The green area that's designated as open space, is that usable space?
No. Not for open space purposes, but it is the Smith Basin. So it's used, more for,
So it's, on paper, it's considered open space, but it's not usable.
You'll see also that the Villa Park Knolls is the one green sliver. If you look on there, that's
Right,
considered
on the
open space as well.
Far west side,
The far west side, but that borders Wanda.
yeah.
So that's also considered open space.
But the other two areas are not usable space.
Mayor, can I help answer that just because I was, so being that in 2021, when I was mayor and we adopted this, that little portion of the Smith Basin that's left, it's like 1.6 acres. It's a little less than that.
Correct.
That was left on purpose, not incorporated into that purple portion for future councils to be able to use if they have to come back and do another. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And then on the slide that says proposed zoning code amendments to comply with California state law, so adding employee housing that serves 6 or fewer employees and adding employee housing that serves 7 or more employees, that's mandatory under state law?
correct.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that for the public. So, okay, thank you so much. That's all my questions. Any further questions from council?
No questions. I have a comment. Is it okay to comment?
Yes.
Just very thorough. Want to thank you. It's very confusing for a lot of people, and I've been doing this for 6.5 years. It could still be confusing. So I just want to say thank you. You guys broke it down very well and outlined it very well, and hopefully the people listening and watching will be able to understand it better as well. So thank you for doing that.
Great. Yes.
I just also want to echo, just so that the public understands, our packet contains a 637-page document that is outlining all of the requirements. This is non-trivial. It has been going on for years and years, and I'm happy to get to a point where I believe that we have a compliance that serves the interests of the community.
Great, thank you. Yes, and I'd like to add that that document is part of our agenda, and that's a document that's available to the public. So, Steve, is there anyone here for public comment on this item?
Yes, we have two speakers, Bonnie Robinson.
Welcome, thank you.
Good evening, City Council members and Mayor Jones. My name is Bonnie Robinson. I live at 5907 East Valley Forge Drive in Orange on the border of Villa Park. And anything impacting Santiago Creek and the recharge basins are of concern to me and to my community. I'm quite concerned about the ISMND for the 2021-2029 Housing Element Implementation Project. Housing must be built in areas that are safe and must not be at odds with other requirements for the health of our communities. The ISMND is in direct conflict with Villa Park's open space and conservation element. I recognize that 99% built out 2.1 square mile city of Villa Park doesn't have many choices as to where to propose building housing and the number required by the California Regional Housing Needs Assessment. I am on your side. I feel there should be more flexibility as to the state housing requirements, especially for a city the size of Villa Park. However, for the record, building any type of housing in the Smith Basin is not healthy, safe, or appropriate, and this ISMND and zone changes should not be approved. For the many valid reasons listed multiple times in the document, the ISMND document, and quoted within, there should be absolutely no proposal to amend the 17.8 acres in the Smith Basins, site's general plan land use classification from open space to commercial, nor to commercial land use or mixed use on the Smith Basin site. As stated on page 10 of the ISMND, The Smith Basin site is zoned open space, which is intended to protect and preserve open space for the preservation of natural resources and for public health and safety. The Smith Basin site is undeveloped and contains both riparian habitat and sensitive natural community. Therefore, future housing development facilitated by the project on the Smith Basin site could have a substantial adverse effect on riparian habitat and existing sensitive communities. That's page 49 of that document. The Smith Basin site is undeveloped and contains water features. There are both state and federal jurisdictional wetlands present, and therefore future housing development facilitated by the project could have a substantial adverse effect on state or federally protected wetlands. It's on page 50 of the ISNMD. The Smith Basin, located in the watershed of Santiago Creek, is owned by the Orange County Water District, not Villa Park. In addition, about 50% of the basin is located in the city of Orange. The Smith Basin, along with the Blue Diamond Basin and Bond Basin, they are considered the Santiago recharge basins, and they are for both water conservation and flood control, and they protect the cities of Villa Park and Orange and Santa Ana from floods. Santiago Creek, which traverses a portion of the Smith Basin site, is the only wildlife movement corridor in the city of Villa Park, and that's on page 53 of the document. And because the city of Orange surrounds Villa Park, any obstacles to that movement also impacts animal movement in the city of Orange, as well as Irvine Regional Park. The Smith Basin has already been identified as a mitigation for other Orange County Water District projects. That's on page 54, meaning that the native habitat must be preserved. And the Smith Basin recharges our aquifer. Any building in the basin could easily impact the safety of the water supply for the city of Orange. The adjacent Hurwitz Basin, recently donated by Chandler to the city of Orange as permanent open space, contains a wetland and identified water of the state, which would be threatened by a significant filling operation that would be required to build homes in the Smith Basin. I disagree with the indicator of less than significant impact for letter C, aesthetics, on page 32. A 5-story building in a non-urbanized area would substantially degrade the existing visual character or quality of public views of the site, currently a wetland filled with native and migrating birds. I also disagree with the determination that the typical lighting of a housing project, indoor and exterior, would have less than significant impact. Perhaps not on the views, but that light would have a significant impact on the animals that reside and travel through this habitat. Future housing development facilitated by the project would generate long-term operational emissions. That's page 41. That's because a multi-year fill operation would probably be necessitated for building on the site, and that would require a significant number of truck trips and high diesel emissions. Page 46 lists 4 special status wildlife species and 2 sensitive plant species that have been identified on the site. With several migrating species utilizing this habitat, there are likely more. And building on the site would substantially affect the riparian habitat, federally protected wetlands, movement of native resident migratory wildlife, and possibly fish with any development on the site. That's page 45. Mitigation to avoid building during nesting season isn't adequate. The many birds on the site, they nest at different times of the year. And in addition, due to the many fires in the county, we can't afford to lose valuable habitat in any location. Mitigating to another area off-site is out of the question, and building anything on the site would require approval from multiple state and federal agencies. I'm not sure how I can quite feel comfortable checking the box for the proposed project could not have a significant effect on the environment when citing all the items that were included. No amount of mitigation other than not building on the site would be acceptable. Flood control, habitat preservation, water recharge are most critical uses of the Smith Basin, and building 2 and 4 housing units in the basin should not even be considered as an option. Thank you for the opportunity to respond. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Leslie Mandashid. I apologize if I mispronounced it.
I guess I'm taller than Bonnie. City Council, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, my name is Leslie Manderscheid. I live at 6817 East Monaco Parkway in Orange, which is just east of Cannon, off Serrano. Just for your information, I have similar comments as Bonnie, but I have a master's degree of city and regional planning, and I've worked in environmental compliance for over 30 years. I'm retired. But when I learned about this project, I was very concerned about it and the impact it would have in my neighborhood and all over the area, Orange and Villa Park, particularly around the Smith Basin. But I do want to let you know that I also sent a letter to Senator Chow regarding the strict compliance that's required for the housing elements. And I've asked him to legislate modifications to the land use element requirements so that it would give options to cities like Villa Park for the housing element while still maintaining local control. I understand the consequences of what the law is causing. So in reviewing the initial study mitigated negative declaration, I found many erroneous conclusions and statements regarding the need and potential impacts of the project. The Smith Basin, as Bonnie mentioned, is owned by the Orange County Water District, not Villa Park, so I'm not sure if you've made any corrections to that. And 50% of the basin is located in the city of Orange. So collectively, they're the Santiago Recharge Basin. And they're also part of the Santiago Creek component of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Santa Ana River Mainstream STEM project between Irvine, Orange County Water District and the Orange County Flood Control District. Surface waters enter into the Santiago Recharge Basin from upper Santiago Creek into the Smith Basin. So there are consequences with any development that that would be implemented by the project, and because of the only wildlife corridor that we have that exists within the city of Orange, and as you know, Orange surrounds Villa Park. So any obstacles to that movement also impacts the animal movement in the city of Orange, as well as the Irvine Regional Park. So any future housing development facilitated by the project would have a substantial adverse effect on riparian habitat and existing sensitive communities. The Smith Basin has been identified as mitigation for other Orange County Water District projects, which they would be null and void with this implementation of this project. I understand the project is a difficult decision for the city because of you're basically 99% built out. But housing must be built in safe areas, and I'm concerned with the aesthetics of this project if you were to actually implement the development in the basin, and especially to the houses along the cliff behind the Santiago Creek. There's no way to mitigate the impacts to that housing there. Air quality would be significant both during construction and afterwards, because it would likely require multi-year fill operation and significant high diesel truck traffic and emissions. And biological resources are at risk also. And the noise, the multi-year construction would create high unacceptable noise levels. And I'm not sure what the city's noise level requirement levels are, but this would well exceed it because it would be extremely high. The adequate traffic studies need to be prepared to note the significant impacts of commercial and housing development along Villa Park Road and Cannon Street. The impacts to the roads and highways have not been fully analyzed and cannot be deferred. And I mentioned some visual impacts. So I don't think any amount of mitigation can make this a no impact project, and so I wish there was another way, another innovative way for the city to comply with the state's housing element, and hopefully that may happen with Senator Choi's office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other speakers?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So the public comment section for this item is now closed. Council members, is there any discussion regarding this item? Just as a point, I very much appreciate the thoughtful comments, but like you said, Villa Park, we have very little space left, being 99% built out. So this has been something that has been very thoughtfully considered over a number of years, and no one's happy about it, but we do need to comply with the state on this. So So if there are no other discussion or comments from council, do we have a motion on this?
Well, no, so of the actions taken, the resolutions would be a one-time approval. The ordinances, the two ordinances will come back for a second reading in our June 20, whatever the June meeting is, I'm drawing a blank. But those have to be read a second time.
24th.
June 24th. So the other actions would be approved by a single vote today.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Wu. Do I have a second?
Second.
And to clarify, the motion is of the staff recommendation. Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Our next hearing is the second reading of ordinance number 2025-634, amending speed limits. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you. You recall the last meeting we had this, first reading, we did a traffic study that were required by law. We came back with recommendations. So we have, this is the second reading. We've received no comments and no requested changes from the previous version that was heard last council meeting. So with that, we would recommend approval. Should the council take action and approve it today, it will become effective 30 days from today.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions of staff? No? Is there anyone here to speak on this matter?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Anything from council? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you so much. Please vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now we will consider our consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and are usually enacted by one motion approving the recommended action listed on the agenda. Any member of the City Council, staff, or the public may request an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. Council members, are there any items from number 4 through 10 that you would like to remove from the consent calendar?
Mayor, if I could make a note on number 8, just at your convenience.
Excuse me?
I'd like to just comment on number 8.
Number 8, okay.
But
so
you can approve the rest.
we
I
will
just wanted-
pull number 8. So can I have a motion to approve the balance, numbers 4 through 7 and 9 and 10?
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. Please vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now take up item number 8 that were pulled from consent by City Manager Steve Franks.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to reiterate that on February the 25th of this year, the council took action to oppose rules 1111 and 1121 of proposed AQMD rules, which regulate air emissions from gas-powered furnaces and emission from natural gas-powered water heaters. The AQMD has issued a new set of guidelines. They came out on April 1st. They are not, in our opinion and the opinion of many of our surrounding jurisdictions, they are not sufficient, and they still place a significant financial burden on our residents. So it would be our recommendation that we maintain an opposition position on this. And with that, I just wanted to clarify that this is very consistent, and the revised regulations that came out did not remedy the concerns we had. So I just wanted to make sure that the residents were aware that we are still being diligent. Several of you have participated with me along in conference meetings with AQMD and those webinars or whatever they call them. And it's been, and I think you've had the chance, Councilman Miles, to even talk to him up in Sacramento. But this is not something that this would have a significant impact on our residents if it were approved, even if it's revised version. So with that, I just wanted to share that clarification.
Yes, thank you. Council members, do you have any questions or comments on this?
Move to approve the recommendation for number 8.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now on to new business. Our first item of new business is the approval of a new 5-year contract for law enforcement services with the Orange County Sheriff Coroner. Staff, can you please give the staff report?
Thank you. We have a long-term contract since 1962. We've been contracting, I believe longer than that, before incorporation. The sheriff has provided law enforcement for the city of Villa Park, and prior to that, the unincorporated area of Villa Park. So with that, every year, our contract requires, even though we have a 5-year agreement, they have to come back and give us a new estimate, and each year they update their costs, et cetera. So the current contract as proposed, they've come back and asked us to provide, they're using new boilerplate terminology, et cetera. So they've asked us to replace the current 5-year agreement with the first year of a new one. And those are non-significant changes that they made to their boilerplate, but they asked they do that. The contract itself, as proposed, is a 6.75% increase over our previous contract, consistent maintaining our level of service. The significant impacts are truly driven by one, which is the transportation costs, which are going up well over 60%. That's based on increased traffic circulation of the vehicles inside the city and the cost of vehicles inside our city area. So we'd recommend approval. It's the same level of enforcement, including direct enforcement, the school resource officer, the motor patrol, and our deputy patrols that we have on, and the support from the sheriff. I would comment that I believe we have excellent services from the sheriff, and I would strongly recommend we continue.
Great, thank you very much. Council members, do you have any questions of staff? Steve, can you just clarify how you did question them, though, on that dramatic increase?
Right. I actually contacted Captain Sotelo, Brian Waite, who is the director of administration over there, the undersheriff, et cetera. We've had some extensive discussion, and they went to odometer readings eventually and showed me the readings and the cost per mile, and they legitimately provided that. So I sort of begrudgingly have to agree that those numbers are accurate. But we did challenge them and to nth degree and spent considerable time asking them to show me readings and things, which they did.
I just wanted the public to know that we did our due diligence and didn't just accept an over 60% increase on that. So thank you very much. Is there anyone who is present or wrote in from the public on this item?
No, we received no comment.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
Any further? Okay.
Mayor, could I say one thing, actually?
Oh, yes.
Before, just so the council is aware, as a matter of state law, whenever a county contracts out police services of this sort, the county can't make money. So it's not like we're paying the county extra above the cost that they're providing, and hence Steve's analysis of the actual cost structure. So once again, more for the public. It's not like the county is making money off us. We're paying for the cost that the county incurs to provide the service. That's all.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion from Councilwoman Miles. Can I have a second? Thank you. Councilman Freckleton, please vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next item of new business is the adopting of year 2025-26 street project list for SB1 Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Account. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Since 2017, with the passage of SB1, we've required to provide, which increased the sales taxes and street, highway, and local taxes that come to us, which we use for pavement. We have to identify a list on a regular basis and provide it to them in order to receive funding. These identified streets are based on, we have to provide a description of the project location, et cetera. These are based on our PCI, which is Pavement Condition Index, which we typically use, and we use these monies to restore and repave our roads. So with that, we've identified the streets that are going to be funded with these monies starting in 25-26. This list is very similar to what you previously received. There are 2 charts on the attachments. Those are basically, if you look at them, they're just different descriptions of forms that the state requires as part of the SB1 reporting grant funding. So by law, we have to, in order to receive the money, which is a significant amount of money that we get to help us pave it, we have to complete this and submit that. So with that, we'd recommend approval.
Thank you very much. Council members, do you have any questions of staff?
And Mayor, may I just ask, nobody lives on these streets, right? Everybody look at the list. We're good? Just for conflict purposes? Okay.
Well, hold on, I do have well, I have a question, but hold on. I actually didn't. I was looking at them, but I was looking at them as far as paving them, not whether I lived by them.
I believe.
I think Old Lamplighter.
I mean, yeah, we're close to Old Lamplighter. I am a street over from Old Lamplighter.
And I'm down the street from the mayor.
Yes.
Yes.
Probably safer, it's probably not a conflict for you to recuse yourself on this. We still have 3.
From the whole thing? Okay,
Okay.
Real quick, can I just ask for a clarification from staff before Councilwoman Miles and I recuse ourselves? Can you please clarify the section of Valley Drive that is being paved? Because Sarah Villa hits Valley in 2
It
places.
is the westward end of the street, and I guess that's from Lemon going west, if that makes sense.
Okay, great.
I'm
Thank you.
saying. And there is a dip in the road we have here about, which we will be addressing as part of this project.
Great, thank you. So Councilwoman Miles and I, since Old Lamplighter Circle, recusing themselves, Mayor Tim Wu.
Do you want us to leave?
We're going to follow the rules. Out.
All right. That'll be fun.
Start reading the phone book and stuff like that.
Any
Move to approve the recommended action.
any second?
And a second.
Thank you. Now that's votes.
Do you want to hit their abstain?
Passes by a 3-0 vote with Mayor Jones and Councilwoman Miles recusing themselves. So just of curiosity, and this is a question, don't it? These items are subsequently approved as part of our budget package. Does that mean they have to recuse themselves from the budget?
No, there's no, it's a fair question. There's an exemption for budget items. It just has to be noted in the record, so you're good. It's fine. But just for this, where it's specific to,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're clear that we might as well get that question out there.
Yep, understood.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, now we will discuss the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. We are continue to move through things. Obviously, we've been working on the housing element and the budget, and those have dominated our time. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions, but
Council members, do you have any questions? Councilman McBride.
Yeah, I just have a comment on that section of the walkway trail at Valley. It's every day I go through there. Today, it was very bad traffic going both ways and a couple walking on the south side, and I literally stopped my car to allow them to pass. It's just, I'd like to continue progress on that.
yeah, we have, and we've received an initial estimate because there are 2 poles that would have to be underground or removed, and that the costs that were submitted by Edison were exorbitant, and we're going back in discussions with them. Both of them in 6-digit plus almost to move a single pole. In both instances underground. So just FYI, that's what we're in the process of doing. So those 2 poles account for pretty close to about $300,000 to move them according to Edison. So we're not accepting that on face value. So we're challenging and going back with them on that. So just FYI, that's a number. And then also we've looked, because of the slope, we'll have to be putting in a retaining wall. So where in that, so we're working with an engineer to see what that would entail with the least expense and how much we'd have to do. But we are working there, so it is potentially it is an expensive project, but we are working through, as we've talked about, to try and get some estimates. But again, I can't see, the cost of that, the poles themselves would almost make it prohibitive, or at least something the council would have to, really weigh in on and think about. So we'll be bringing back something hopefully this summer with a revised set of estimates. But like I say, Edison's first estimate, our first cutted estimates were on the very high side.
Yeah, and I would just like to comment that I've been noting other areas where the poles do impede on the walking distances, and I realize that it's complex there, but there's a serious safety issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may?
Yes.
Just as a matter of historical note, there used to be a program with Edison where a portion of your electric bill, Rule 17, I think it was, or 19, would go to undergrounding, and the city would accumulate funds over the course of the years, and then we could spend that money, and Edison would use those funds to do it. We actually used all our money, I think, to do these poles.
We borrowed 80,000 from the city of Laguna Woods at a cost of 120,000.
Yeah.
Which was sort of like a bad deal in hindsight. But anyway, the state has since changed that rule, and no longer funds are being accumulated. So we no longer get funds to underground. Anything we would have to do would be strictly out of our own funds to do it. And the cost is to underground is, like we say, I'm reading ranges of $2+ million for a mile to underground. So that's just sort of put it in a sort of context. It's a very expensive endeavor. But yeah, they changed the rules. We were getting close to 20,000 a year. So even at that would have taken us a lot of years to be able to underground much.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from council regarding the city manager's report? No? Thank you so much for the report. Now we move on to mayor and council member meeting attendance reports, starting with Law Enforcement Advisory Committee. There's no report. Villa Park Community Services Foundation, Councilman Freckleton.
We, on April 27th, had our Volunteer of the Year event at the Kreitzigers home, where Marianne Kupnick received the Volunteer of the Year award, and it's very well deserved. Marianne is one of those people that does it all, but does it very quietly. She's not a hey, look at me, I'm doing all this great stuff. She's the one that's actually doing the actual work, while the rest of us are taking all the credit. So very well deserved, and that was fantastic. And our next meeting is next Wednesday, right here.
Great, thank you so much. Orange Unified School District City Schools Committee, there was no meeting. Bridges at Kramer Place Advisory, Councilwoman Miles.
Thank you. So, excuse me, we met on April 23rd, and one of the things that we felt with the committee was we would get the reports all the time of how many were housed, how many were unhoused, the negative exits, the positive exits, and so I had wanted to start incorporating some of the service providers and giving us reports and what they see as issues or problems or things that could get better. And so we had our first report from the Office of Care Coordination, and it's the Care Coordination Model, which is run by the county. And one of the things was trying to figure out that threshold of where a negative exit becomes a positive exit. And it was very complex. Number of beds is always, of course, the issue, but the other issue is the wraparound services or all the supportive services, which are only going to happen if you get housed. So it's that disconnect of you're homeless, you go to a shelter, but you don't get any of the wraparound services until you actually get housed. And then that obviously the limiting factor there is the available supportive housing that they have. And so one of the big things, this Office of Care Coordination, they found that we seem to sometimes forget that we have a very large population, and that could be older adults, it could be middle-aged adults, it could be young teenagers that when they leave prisons or jails, they sometimes are homeless. So this Office of Care Coordination, the model, there was no case management that was being done for those individuals that were finishing their terms in prison or being paroled. And so they're trying to balance that with giving them case management direction. And then that includes getting them help for behavioral issues or substance abuse issues, and to prevent them from getting arrested again. So this next meeting, which we have one quarterly, we're going to be getting an update on Prop 1 and the impacts to the behavioral health and the MHSA or the Mental Health Services Act, and how that is now impacting what's going on with the shelters. That's it.
Great, thank you so much. Orange County Fire Authority.
Okay, we had our Orange County Fire Authority board meeting on May 22nd, and we the biggest thing is we passed the budget for the coming year. We're going to spend over $600 million in the county for fire service, and We are obviously a very tiny, tiny part of that, but a proud part of that. And we also had our first operations committee, which the chair had put me on May 13th, and I was elected vice chair of the operations committee.
Great, congratulations. Next is Orange County Library Advisory Board.
So we had, sorry. So we had executive meeting and also a regular meeting. What the lab has discussed or shared with all the board members is please utilize the county library for their digital format. There are tons of great resources that is all free as long as you have their library cards, such as you can download books unlimited, and there's no due days as far as books goes, or music, even they call it value line, which is for cardholder to take a look at stock investment, tons of different digital format for our residents to use. And also, we went through the executive meeting. It's just the health of the libraries. Starting July 1st, City of Irvine will operate all their libraries, and that will not have any kind of impact on the funding. We actually, as a county, actually, in my opinion, we make money out of it because now we don't have to spend money on the staff, and we still retain certain portion of the property tax to the county. So that they will continue to monitor how that will impact the close by locations, such as Costa Mesa and Tustin. And they will kind of redistribute the books around, and hopefully our own library next door will also get more books. Now they are closing the Irvine Library. So that's all I have.
That's interesting. Thank you so much. Next is Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District.
Okay, so I have kind of a lot, so we'll wait to do the video. Just one second. Okay, so met on April 29th with a budget session. May 7th was the joint committee with the property management and then budget and finance. As you know, we're once again still continuing with building a new building at the existing property. And so we kind of researched a little bit about taking that existing property and maybe partnering with, the name escapes me, but turning some of that property into low-income housing. And so that would help fund some of it, so we wouldn't have to perhaps raise assessments. So that's getting looked at deeper. That was from May 7th. And then on 5/15, we had a budget and finance meeting and our general meeting. The general meeting, just some of the statistics, our county right now does not have, well, this was as of May 15th, so does not have any West Nile virus activity. There are 2 counties in California that does. They're not human cases, but they are positive mosquito cases, and that is up north of us from Santa Clara and Alameda. The West Nile virus activity in California, as I said, there's no human cases. We do have 2 travel-acquired dengue cases year-to-date, one in Orange and one in Newport Beach. There are 4 flea-borne typhus cases, and that's Garden Grove, Anaheim, Fullerton, and La Habra. And then we're going to show a video in a minute on the SIT, which is the Sterile Insect Technique Project. There's a really big update to that. And then Vector does a lot of seasonal hiring, and this just started with a total of 53 incoming seasonal staff onboarding that happened last week, with 43 of them serving operations. So they'll go out, and now you'll see, because it's starting to be the warmer time and the mosquito populations breeding. So you'll see a lot more of the Vector people. Again, if anyone in Villa Park wants to have their home inspected, please, reach out to me or through the city, and they can get a hold of me, because it is no cost to you. You already pay for it in your property tax and the assessments. So a lot of people think it's an extra charge. It's not. They'll come out at your convenience and be able to find, surprisingly, areas of breeding that you wouldn't even know existed. And so now there's a short little video kind of explains what the sterile insect technique. We've been using Mission Viejo as the area where they've done the tests so far, and this is kind of the last phase. For those that have followed along, you know this has been going on for about 4 or 5 years. So this is, the news came and it's just a 3-minute, I think, quick little video. It explains it all, and it's going to hopefully make sure that if this works, this will be implemented countywide, and all of us will be very grateful for not having the mosquitoes. So watch and you'll understand. You can get the volume.
Further south, Orange County reporter Jessica DeNova shows us how it works.
This is routine mosquito prevention for John Blanchard.
Our street drains on this side, and if I don't keep it clean here, then we get standing water. And I'm aware of the problem with the mosquitoes.
He's pretty well informed about efforts to bring down the population of the Aedes aegypti, also known as the ankle biters, before staff with the Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District could notify him.
Oh, you're letting the sterile ones go.
Blanchard knew exactly what they were up to Tuesday. Let's go. Releasing even more of these mosquitoes across several Mission Viejo neighborhoods.
We're using mosquitoes to fight mosquitoes.
32 stops across a 100-acre area, the preliminary stages of the Sterile Insect Technique, or SIT project. Don't worry, they're only releasing males and they don't bite. But they are half the problem when they reproduce with their female biting counterparts. The solution? These males are sterilized in lab using x-rays marked with a fluorescent dust, then released weekly in the late summer.
Our sterile males will outcompete those wild males to mate with the females, and those matings will render sterile eggs.
The agency's Director of Scientific Technical Services says the technique already proving effective in LA County. These invasive insects, not just annoying, they can transmit dengue fever, Zika, and chikungunya, and only need a few drops of standing water to lay their eggs. According to the California Department of Public Health, in 2023, Southern California saw 2 cases of locally transmitted dengue fever. There were 18 in 2024.
We are concerned now that these mosquitoes are showing that they can be transmitting disease here locally to our communities.
SEMRO expects they'll have enough data by the end of this year to know whether the SIT project works here in Orange County. Reporting in Mission Viejo, Jessica DeNova, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, please get those ankle biters, huh?
So that pretty much, does it in a T. Everything is done in-house at Vector Control, and the reference to the dengue in 2023, they had 18 cases. We're already at 4, and I can guarantee you when we meet next month, it's going to go up. So that's it. That's my report.
Great, thank you so much. And then you can continue with the Orange County Older Adults Advisory Commission.
Switching gears, that's right, hold on. Okay, so if you'll put up, that is the majority of the commission, and that's Senator Nguyen there, who presented a proclamation to the Orange County Older Adults Advisory Commission for May, which was Older Americans Month, recognizing the incredible volunteerism that a lot of the people pictured here participate in helping their communities throughout Orange County. So almost every city is represented there, and it was supposed to happen at the board meeting, at the Board of Supervisors. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, so Senator Nguyen, on behalf of all of the Board of Supervisors, came to our meeting to present to us, so we were really fortunate to have that. Want to point out, and then that's it for that, so it's going to be at the Office of Aging, so that was really nice to receive that. And then for those that have been around a while that remember in COVID, we did the Great Digital Divide, and the county Board of Supervisors, along with, at the time, it was called SCAC, Senior Citizens Advisory Council. We've since changed the name. But we kind of championed this program with Get Set Up and Go and the iPads. And so there are some Villa Park residents who were recipients of those iPads. And the county paid for the data package for those iPads. And that was supposed to help our older adults during COVID with that digital divide and the isolation and stuff. And so that contract was only for 5 years. So for anyone who has one of those iPads, you'll be notified on how to give the iPad back, or if they're even going to ask for them back. But the main point of this is anyone who has one of those iPads, that data package is ending at the end of August. So unless that iPad is connected to Wi-Fi, you will no longer have the free data, and that would allow you to do whatever, like as if it was a data plan. So that package unfortunately ends the end of August of 2025. So be prepared for that. And then the Get Set Up and Go, which everybody in Orange County was able to participate in that. You did not have to pay for that service, and it was unlimited online classes, if you remember. That also was a program that was done in conjunction with the iPads that older adults could participate, and you could take classes on anything. You could have focus groups, you could have support groups, you could have, book clubs, whatever it was online. That too, that service, the free portion of that is ending in 2025. So if, and you didn't have to have an iPad to do it. So like you could, you even now until August, you can go to Get Set Up Go, Orange County. It's free for anyone, but the end of August, that contract is no longer. You can still go. You'll only be allowed 4 classes for the free portion, or you can pay $20 a month for the service. But just wanted to make sure everyone knew that if you were part of that, make sure you've got all your things done that you wanted to get done, because the end of August it all ends. So I think that's it. I hope that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'll let you know if it's not.
Thank you very much. Next, Orange County Sanitation District, and I believe Councilman McBride is going to be giving this report.
Yes, so we're well into the strategic plan, and it's about to be implemented. The Orange County Sanitation District does an amazing job of staying ahead of the curve with respect to budgeting. They're replacing their new headworks, et cetera. So part of that project is the Taft Sewer enlargement that's occurring. It's now down on Glassell. From the inside, we worried about the impacts of it, but actually they've done a great job. It's just nothing but the barriers in the middle. They keep an open lane either way. I haven't seen any problem with traffic, et cetera. Ultimately, that'll give us additional capability if we need it for Villa Park, and the Board of Directors meeting is tomorrow.
Great, thank you so much. And then now we will hear individual council member announcements and information items, starting with Council Member McBride.
So I attended the SCAG Regional Conference in Palm Springs back on May 1st along with our mayor, and we divvied up the particular seminars in the afternoon on Thursday. I attended one of the housing, and so I'd like to reiterate, we are not alone on this housing element crisis, and the RHNA, which is our Regional Housing Needs Assessment. So SCAG is very aware of the dissatisfaction of all communities and how we resolve that, and there were a lot of discussions between the various communities at that event. Then on the 22nd, my wife Catherine and myself served meals at the Ronald McDonald House with the famous Mary Ann and Ed Carter. Again, it was wonderful, very, very emotional and moving to hear the parents and the various associates that have their children at Chalk, and so we served them meals. It was a moving event, and I recommend that anybody has the opportunity to do that, they should. Friends of the Library just had their Mystery Authors event on the 24th. It was very well attended. They don't know exactly how much money they made, but they've said it was the best one ever, so that was quite nice. And then on Monday, I was at the Bob Bell Memorial, and I was extremely inspired, and Robert did a terrific job organizing that, maybe too good of a job, but I was inspired by Mr. Bell and his long service to the community, so that was great. It worked out really well. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Councilman Frackleton.
All right, as I already mentioned, April 27th was the Volunteer of the Year, Marianne Kupnick, which was great. On May 7th, as a private citizen, I went to the Orange Unified School District Board and advocated for Villa Park High School's pool. Happy to report the pool is up and running, but it's just a Band-Aid, and it's going to go down. They're lucky to get a year or two out of it. They've got to come up with a plan on a new pool, and so I keep singing that song. On May 8th, I went to the California Metals Coalition for work, and I got the chance to sit down with Lieutenant Governor Alina Kounalakis and talk to her briefly about RHNA numbers and sober living homes, and she said all the right things, and I said, great, are they part of your campaign? And she pretty much said no, and so moving on. May 10th was the Villa Park High School car show that proceeds went to the band, and that was a lot of fun. I had a entry for my motorcycle, and I didn't win, but I had a good time anyway. May 13th was the Orange County Fire Authority Operations Committee meeting, which I already mentioned. May 15th, I went to Councilman Miles' son's Villa Park High School baseball game. And first CIF game, they won, and I'm probably stealing her thunder, but I understand they won the second game too, and then when it made it all the way to the third round, and I'll let her share the bad news after that. But I was so proud of those guys. They beat 2 private schools, which is pretty awesome for our public school to do that, since we don't get to recruit as much as the private schools do. And I think Thomas Aquinas was pretty highly rated. Yeah, so that's awesome. Kudos to them. Way to go, Spartans. May 19th, I attended the Sober Task Force, or Group Home Task Force meeting here at City Hall, and talked about the ordinances that Mission Viejo is passing, and Fountain Valley and Westminster and a few others are following suit, and shared with them that our hope is to get this housing thing done, so then we can probably look at that in the future if the council agrees. And then yesterday, May 26th, was the Bob Bell Memorial Service, and it really was fantastic. And thank you, Mayor, for mentioning all the people who helped out. I also want to include yourself and Mayor Pro Tem Wu and Councilman McBride and Ed Carter and Marianne Kupnick and Mike Knowles and Craig Beinlich and Eric Kulai and Robbie Pitts and Brad Reese and Kathy McCarthy and Dan Al-Salasadi, who all helped move chairs there, back, as well as the people you mentioned, which the chief and the A-team and the captains. The only downside, as Councilman McBride alluded to, was about 6 of the old-timers who were volunteers from 1959 until we got full-time staff at that station in the 80s, now think I'm the funeral director, and I'm going to give them all a funeral at the fire station, and know that for public record, I am not the Villa Park's funeral director.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Miles.
Thank you. So on May 16th, I participated in a press conference, bipartisan group of state lawmakers, city officials, and including a patient advocate that joined the League of California Cities and several other cities throughout Orange County, and calling for increased oversight and transparency over the sober living and treatment facilities to protect the residents and hold the bad actors accountable. We were joined by 2 state lawmakers, Senator Blackspear and Assemblywoman Davies, both of whom authored legislation seeking to reform the alcohol and drug treatment facilities. This was done really as a push to try to get Sacramento into passing several of the bills waiting to be heard. For instance, after failing in appropriations last year, SB 35, which was Umberg, it actually finally passed off of the suspense file, which is kind of where you go if they don't want to deal with you. But so it finally got out of the suspense file, which is good. And this bill would require the Department of Health Care Services to conduct more timely and thorough investigations of unlicensed sober living homes, accused of violating state licensure law. And then SB 35 is now headed to the Senate floor, which is great. And then along with SB 329, which is the Alcohol and Drug Recovery or Treatment Facilities, that's advocating for investigations into the timing of when somebody makes a complaint and how long they have to be able to acknowledge that and respond. So, and that's also now passed on to the Senate floor, I believe. So it was nice to see. It was completely bipartisan. The advocate that was there herself, she was someone who had gone through the sober living home treatment facility, kind of had some really horrible stories, but it was really interesting to hear her perspective. And now, of course, she's really changed her life and is advocating for some of these changes as well. Later on that evening, on May 16th, went and saw Senator Choi's new district office in his grand opening, and it was a packed house, and it was really full. It was really nice to see. A lot of the electeds from all over his district were there, which is good. On May 23rd, just Friday, I was honored to be invited and attended the OUSD Special Ed Olympics, which was held at Fred Kelly Stadium, and that was so fun to watch. It was just so incredible to see all the families, the parents, and then all the high school cheerleaders from every high school, the bands from every high school cheering on the kids. And they had the morning portion where the elementary students, and I don't think there was enough from Serrano or Villa Park Elementary to have their own little group, so I believe they were put in with I think it was Handy is who those students were put in with. But later in the afternoon portion, or right around lunchtime, I was able to find the CV and Villa Park High School athletes. And so it was really neat to watch them and cheer for them. And they had competitions like a disc throwing, a relay race, a short distance run, a 50-yard dash. And this was the second annual event for the Special Ed Olympics put on by OUSD Special Ed Department, but it was their 50th anniversary. So they made a really big deal about it, and was really just an honor for me to join in that and be there. And then I want to remind everyone that this Thursday, May 29th, from about 9:30 till 1 o'clock, Taft will be closed from Santiago to Center for a special educational event going on for the high school students. So please try and keep that in mind and go around or find another path. And then, yes, to Councilman Frackleton's point, I want to give a shout out to all the Villa Park baseball boys. They, really, they were not expected to go past, I think, round one, to be honest with you. That game went into extra innings, and then the second game against Aquinas was quite stunning and spectacular, and that was away. And I think Aquinas, who they kind of came and I think they thought that they just had it in the bag because little old Villa Park, they didn't, and they got blown out. Villa Park had 6 runs in the very first inning, and they could never come back from that, which is always a good feeling. But unfortunately fell to Bishop Amat, St. John Bosco, and it was a really good competitive game. So kudos to all the boys. A lot of them are going on, and it was such a great turnout, and wish everyone the best success. And for all those graduating, good luck, and have a great summer, and wish all our seniors the best of luck going forward. And that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem Wu.
Thank you. I don't want to repeat what everyone else already mentioned, but I just want to mention what I attended with along the council members. The May 16th, I attend the Cal City Recovery Housing Press with Council Member Miles, and the same night I also attend Senator Choi's grand opening, and also this past Monday I learned a little bit more about our past mayor Bob Bell memorial. That was really a good event. Our council member faculty helped to move on. Yeah, the Undertaker. Yes. But I do want to encourage our residents this Saturday to attend 2 events in this plaza. One is the very first health and wellness fair, right in front of here, and also in this room, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. During the same time, after you learn about wellness and how to be better in health, please walk over to Dunkin' Donuts because they are having a Savannah Banana players appearance. So they are having a pregame there. They're gonna give away, swag and just fun. Just in case you don't know, you guys don't know what Savannah Bananas, just Google it. It's really fun baseball game. I personally never seen it, but I watched the YouTube. It's really fun. So I am going to participate both events, get information on how to be healthier, and go over there and get some donuts. So thank you.
Question on that. They're huge. Like, do you know do they have traffic controls? I mean, they're literally huge.
Yeah, I mean, for our older residents, I believe they're like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
They're all collegiate level. They're major league players, either that don't play anymore so I'm just wondering if our little city is going to be able to handle all the traffic and stuff they're like really big.
They're in consultation with the sheriff, so I know.
Okay, just want to make sure. That's fun. That's exciting.
Yeah, no, that's great. So for my report, it was my pleasure to attend the Home Aid Breakfast in Newport Beach and hear their exciting announcement that Home Aid OC will now be expanding their operations into Los Angeles and Ventura counties. So I sincerely appreciate the hard work that Home Aid is doing to combat homelessness in our communities. So it was great to participate in that. Councilman Wu and I have had several meetings this month to plan emergency preparedness town halls for our residents. So please stay tuned and keep an eye out for an announcement on exact dates next month. We are planning for one town hall in September and one in October as we approach the windy Santa Ana season here. Councilman Frackleton and I are also working on plans for Villa Park's participation in our country's 250th birthday in 2026. We are in the planning stages right now, so if you have any ideas that you would like to contribute, please let us know. It was my pleasure to also attend the Villa Park Community Services Foundation Volunteer Recognition event, and congratulations to Mary Ann Kopnick for being named Volunteer of the Year. As Councilman Frackleton mentioned, it is well-deserved. I also attended the 2-day Southern California Association of Governments Conference in Palm Desert, along with Councilman McBride, who we were filling in for Mayor Pro Tem Wu and Councilmember Frackleton, who were both out of town and unable to attend. It was great to hear about regional issues, such as the anticipated impacts of the 2028 Olympics and the privately funded high-speed rail project that's going to be linking Rancho Cucamonga to Las Vegas. But it was also great to attend presentations that touched on issues that affect us more locally, such as wildfires and homelessness. And it was very interesting to hear the college student presentations as well. These students are really doing cutting-edge research on a lot of issues that directly impact us. So we'll be looking forward to incorporating that information in some of our future discussions. So we also had our second budget workshop meeting on May 5th, and thank you to City Manager Steve Franks and Lee and your staff for all your hard work in putting those budgets together. We know that there's a lot of moving parts, and we sincerely appreciate it. I also attended the City Selection Committee along with Mayor Pro Tem Wu, and great to see all the different city representatives from around the county. And then I was also very happy to attend Bob Bell's memorial service yesterday. And thank you so much to Councilmember Freckleton and Kathy McCarthy and Steve Palmer from Orange Park Acres for kind of being the driving force behind that and putting it together in your wonderful eulogies. I mean, we grew up seeing, Bob Bell's real estate signs, all over town with the bell. I mean, he was the one who really did great marketing before, marketing was even a college major probably. So yeah, we really appreciate everyone who helped put that together. And finally, I hope that everyone had a wonderful Memorial Day and truly reflected on what the day stands for. Armed Services Day was also celebrated earlier this month on May 17th, and I hope that everyone got a chance to thank an active duty member of our U.S. military. And congratulations to all of our graduates and promotion candidates at all of our schools. And with that, now we will adjourn until the next regular City Council meeting on June 24th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you for your participation and have a wonderful evening.